Thank you very much, Mr. Host. I appreciate that. Work. We spend a lot of time doing work. I've had a lot of jobs. So you may know I'm a Division A director. I'm also a school principal. That's where I am right now. But I haven't always been in education. At one time, I used to work at the airport. Now you've seen people at the airport, the fellows who hold on to those batons and bring in the airlines, the ones who make sure that the airplanes, when they come in and they land, they know where to go. It's a very important job. It's very critical. The plane might wind up on the wrong airstrip if not for the people who are making sure they're directing it. So now I'll have to confess, I was pretty good at it. In fact, I was their go-to person. Whenever there was an especially tricky situation, there was an incident, they called me. They got me with my fancy vest and my batons to come to the airport and make sure everything worked out just fine. So it was December in 1976. 1976. I was at home relaxing because, it was a day off. When the phone rang, there was a blizzard. The planes were coming in. They needed me at the airport to make sure things were safe. I grabbed my batons. I grabbed my vest. I got to the airport in record time. It was here in Calgary. I got out to the runway just as the planes started coming in, and they were in trouble. There was snow everywhere. There was sleet coming down. It was hard to see. It was a mess. But I was there with the batons, and I was waving those airplanes in, and they were landing safely because they had me to make sure they knew where to go. I brought in airplane number 1. I got it to go to the right runway. There's airplane number 2 over there. Don't go to the same one. You got to make sure they're in the right place. Don't go down this one. Go to that one. The planes were coming down. They were safe until a private jet had come in from Las Vegas, and it was the last one. It was in trouble because the sound sets that they used to get directions from the tower were on the blitz. They couldn't hear anything. Well, they couldn't hear anything very much. And I've got my headset on. I'm talking directly to the plane. And I'm looking at it as it's coming down way too fast. It's not slowing down. It's got to slow down. So I'm there with the instructions. I'm yelling at them. I'm saying, okay, coming down this runway. And they weren't slowing down. I'm saying, you got to slow down. Pay attention. And now I'll confess, I had a moment. I'm not proud of it, but there was a moment when I had a bit of panic. So the plane is coming down, and I'm looking at it, and I'm saying, stop. And then a moment I said, oh my God, why aren't you stopping? Why aren't you stopping? Am I gonna die? Can't you see what I'm telling you to do? You gotta go over that way. Can't you see what I'm saying? And then it was coming down. It was right in front of me. I could see it. It was right there. I held my hands up and went, ah! And it hit my batons and knocked them out of my hands. And I turned to look behind me, and the airplane was right behind me. It was coming down. It hit the runway right behind. I could smell the smoke from the tires. They were smoking. And it skidded, and it came right in front of the hangar, and it stopped this far from the hangar door. That far. It stopped. And it didn't crash. Later on, I was talking to the safety inspector who was investigating. He said, you know what happened? When the plane hit the batons, it slowed down just enough that it didn't crash. I was a hero. I mean, of course, I kind of knew that. But I found that out way later on. In this moment, I looked, and I didn't know that. I looked, and the plane had stopped. So I went over, and I was waving at the pilot. It turned out it's a private airplane, and the pilot was the owner of the airplane. It's, like those celebrities like to do this. So I got up and I went and talked to him, and his name was Victor Wills. Victor Wills. You might remember Victor Wills. He was the lead singer and songwriter for that band from the 70s, the Village People. So I talked to him. He was saying he was good. Now here's something else that happened. He was inspired by the events. He went and wrote a song, and here's what it was. As he was coming down, he could hear just every second word, or not even, on the headset. And so when I was talking to him, he didn't hear everything, but here's what he heard. He was coming towards me, and I've got my arms going with the batons, and I'm yelling at him. I'm saying, why? And that's what he was able to hear as he was coming down. So he wrote that song, and he made a lot of money, and he did not give me credit, which still bugs me to this day. But Madam Toastmaster, fellow friends, this is how you get a good day at work, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much, Bob. That is hilarious. That is a good example of the tall tales.